there were some stories from the trail that we really didn't touch on too much. There was one story in particular one day that was probably one of the low points of our hike, and I just didn't feel like talking about it at the time. Looking back now, it's not that big a deal, but we stayed at a shelter early February, and it was very cold, and we were getting ready. We put the sleeping bags and everything in the shelter, and a guy walked up, and he was a shuttle driver. There was a road pretty close, and he passed out some his business cards, and turned out later it came in handy. But we had his business card and stashed it away, and there was another like a family outing that camped with us that night in the shelter. And we got up in the morning and it was below freezing. It was very cold. We packed up kind of in a hurry just to get moving and get warm. And Blue attached my our tent to the back of my backpack. Our tent was a Z-Pack triplex. It only weighs about 24 ounces. But she's put it on the back of my pack on the loops, and we set out for the day. And it warmed up a little bit as we went on, and we stopped a few times and took the backpacks off and took a break, and then we continued, and we were probably about 6 miles up the trail, and Blue looked at me. She had walked behind me and she said, "Drifter, where's the tent?" And I freaked out. I took my backpack off and the tent was gone. So we had to decide what to do. We had no tent. We were probably 3 miles from a shelter. So I decided to jog back the miles that we covered. And I didn't think about it. I didn't take a water bottle. I thought I'd find it pretty quickly. And I jogged back a long ways, and Blue waited on the trail up there with no tent. And I had went back probably about four miles, and I still hadn't found it. So I knew I had to get back to Blue because she wouldn't have a tent, and it was 3 miles to the shelter. So I took off jogging, half running, half walking, wherever I could on the trail. And I got back to Blue, and I'd been gone for 3 hours. It was pretty emotional for both of us because she didn't know if I was okay. I didn't know if she was okay waiting up on the trail. And nobody passed me that day. I mean, it was pretty empty in February. There wasn't a lot of people on the trail. But now we were there with no tent, 3 miles to the shelter. And there was a road. And at the end of the road, we knew that there's a lady called the Southern Cookie Lady. And she gives out cookies and snacks and stuff to hikers that come to her door. So we're going to go there, and we got a cookie and a snack, and we had no cell service. So we were able to use the Garmin and got a hold of the shuttle driver that dropped the business card off the night before. And he sent one of his people out to get us. And then we shuttled into Erwin, Tennessee, and to Uncle Johnny's hostel, and we bought another tent. The second tent we bought turned out to be a better weather tent for us. And it was a Big Agnes Copper Spur UL2. It was a little heavier, but it was better for the weather. In hindsight, it was a blessing we lost the tent, even though it was a very expensive tent we lost. And it all worked out, and we decided, it took us a few days to really get past that. And at the time we were doing the videos, I didn't even really want to touch on it. I felt like, I got 13 years hiking experience, and now I lost a tent. But that was one of the early struggles that left us just very frustrated, And we were wondering if we should be out there after, we had some minor things before that, and then that happened. And we're really getting down on ourselves, like, do we belong out here? And we knew we had done so many section hikes before, but things were going wrong that had never gone wrong on a section hike. It was probably due to the weather, maybe looking at how many miles we had to go. I'm not sure. But so I'm not sure if I touched on the whole losing of the tent in the videos, like I said, because it was embarrassing. But that's a story. And we'll have some more stories from the trail that I'll add later. But that was one of probably the low points in the hike.